I know, right through the door, right? I'll get it. See, it's on. Told you so.
It is 6:30, so we will call to order the Plainfield Township Planning Commission meeting for Tuesday, May 26th. First on our agenda is to approve the agenda. Do we have any changes, Elizabeth?
No changes.
Okay, I'll take a motion.
So move.
Second from Dennis. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, same signal. Thank you. We need to approve the consent agenda. Elizabeth, do we need to talk about the one item on there, the preliminary plat? Or is that just, okay?
Yeah, everything has been reviewed already through planning, through you folks, so this is kind of just a formality, and then the township board has the next step in this. So unless you folks have something you'd like to discuss, it can go through on consent.
Anybody up here discussions on those items from the consent agenda? I will take a motion on that.
I move we approve the consent agenda.
Second?
Support.
All right, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same signal. We are good there. We're going to move on to the public comment. Before we get there, just a couple things. The first public comment is for general comments. If you are here to comment about either the banks of Belmont or the zoning and ordinance texts regarding recreational vehicles, there will be a chance when we enter those agenda items to discuss that. Other items that will apply for every public hearing is please come to the podium, state your name and address. Then you can make your comments. You will be given a time of 3 minutes. That's make sure we have time enough to hear everybody tonight. And please be respectful of the Planning Commission, staff, applicants, and your neighbors when you make your comments. I think, yes, one trip per person, and you cannot allocate your time to somebody else if you don't use all of it. For the general public comments, is there anybody that would like to make a comment? Just please raise your hand and I will recognize you. Going once, going twice. We'll close the public comment there. Move to our first agenda item, which is on the PUD rezone concerning the banks of Belmont. Dennis, I believe you have the details on that?
The project description and action requested of the Planning Commission to forward a favorable recommendation to the Township Board to rezone 5670 Jupiter Avenue, 6107 West River Drive, and 6117 West River Drive from R1B residential to R3 residential, and then from R3 residential to PUD, planned unit development, to develop a 56-unit mixed housing type development.
Do we have somebody from Visser here to speak to us tonight, to describe? Give us a little overview and description there. Again, state your name
Yep, Paul Granzato. I am with Keller Williams out of the North office. Yeah, is that better? So yep, I'm with Keller Williams out of the North office. We had a couple different variations that we had worked on with this, originally starting off with some townhouses, and we did modify it to make sure that there's plenty of open space around it. We have townhouses mostly on the exterior, with the apartments going near the higher, near the major roadways and everything there. We also made sure that there was some open space in the middle and along the exterior for the dog park, as well as a playground as well for anybody that's gonna be staying there.
Anything else you'd like to give us descriptions on, or if not, you're good. I'm just, want to make sure.
Nope, that's the basis of it.
You want to hear from, is this you, Elizabeth?
Yeah, yep,
Okay.
I'm sure Pete will jump in here. But just to give you kind of a brief zoning and process overview, the zoning on these parcels is currently R1B residential, and the master plan calls for similar single-family residential zoning. This area is part of a sub-area for the Belmont Town Center. And it does have an exception in the master plan for the right project, given, certain conditions like parcel consolidation, significant buffering to residential, that additional housing types and densities other than single family may be considered. That certainly doesn't mean that the Planning Commission has to find that this plan is the right plan or that this timing is correct for this plan. But it is an option for you to consider that the master plan does call for. In order to go from R1B to this PUD zoning, it's a two-step process. First, you have to rezone it to multifamily housing, and then it has to go to the planned unit development to make the underlying density work for the PUD. So that's the process in a nutshell. You are simply making a recommendation to the Township Board, and the Township Board has the final decision on the planned unit development rezone. These parcels are particularly challenging because of the location primarily. Two busy roads that are designed to accommodate high traffic, but the intersection is particularly busy, and the distances to the access points can be challenging. The applicants did provide a traffic study. I think staff-wise, we would like to see that traffic study expanded on a little bit to account for the intersections and the turning movements in and out of those access points. So staff is recommending that the Planning Commission hold the public hearing. There's lots of folks here that would like to say. Consider those comments and the applicant's information. And we are recommending that you postpone the decision tonight to give the applicant time to provide more traffic analysis and to consider the public's comments. Do you have anything to add, Pete?
Nothing much to add. I think hold off on any more comments from staff until after the public hearing so we can address any questions that come up and need to be addressed.
Fair enough. I think at this time, we will open the public comment on this particular item. I have a feeling there will be a couple hands to go up. So again, wait till we will get to all of you. Just be patient. But if you would like to speak on this particular item, please raise your hand and I will call on you to come up again to the microphone, state your name and address, 3-minute limit, be respectful, and there is no time sharing. So gentlemen over here, you had your hand up first.
I had my hand up first because I'm missing my daughter's practice and I have to leave right after to get to that because being a part of a community means being part of the community. First, I wanted to thank you guys for your service on the board. I know sometimes being a public servant isn't always roses and fun times, so thank you for your service on there. Thank you for listening to us. When this similar situation came up a couple of years ago, we came to one of these meetings, we felt heard, and that resulted in our desires as the community being reflected in the master plan, which we do appreciate it. Government always works well when the government works with the people. That's kind of the core of democracy. That said, the density that they're asking for is more than double what is allowed. The master plan right now accounts for 25 units on these parcels, and they're asking for an increase of more than double to 54. It doesn't fit the neighborhood. The master plan calls for multifamily housing in transitional areas. The only thing this is transitioning from is from traffic to us. There's no actual flow to any of that. The PUD process is being misused. I actually dove in and I spent a lot of time reading about the PUD process. And the whole point of that process is to allow flexibility, to allow a community to build something of a greater good, not simply to pack more stuff into an area that can't take it. Just like my dad couldn't get all the suitcases he wanted to in the car, no matter how much he wanted to, this land it's not suited for having this many units on it. I personally am not opposed to development, but putting this many units in this small of an area, this close to this traffic, and I can bet every single one of you has been at this intersection when it can't even move. You know, one accident, one car stalls out, and the whole thing is just, I've been stuck on the Jupiter Bridge for 45 minutes, and that's before 56 units with, I'm assuming, at least 108 cars are also trying to live there, work there, and be a part of the community there. The other thing is, like, the whole point of this PUD process is flexibility for better design and public benefit. There's only one benefit here, and that's the builder who's building this and making money off of it. Yes, there will be some housing, but at what cost? I want to know, if you talk to these people, if this is built in 5, 10 years from now, how are they going to feel about not being able to turn out of their driveway? Because this intersection backs up. I live over here, and I can tell you, I have been here in the morning trying to get where I need to go, and I've been stuck there for several traffic lights because there's just not room. So, that said, I did see that they did a traffic study. I would like to see an independent traffic study done, one that's not there. I mean, I could pay for a study that would say anything I want because I am a statistics minor, and I know you can make those surveys say what you want them to say. I'm also a math teacher, so I also know you can make the numbers say what you want them to say. I would also like to have something addressed with the stormwater drainage and the water concerns. We are currently, I don't know about you guys, but my water bill's way higher than it used to be, and we're gonna add 56 more units to this. That's very close to the river. PFAS concerns, all those other things. We need to have more study done before this is even considered in this area, especially considering they're already going to be removing, or going to be doing water work along West River. So with that said, thank you so much for hearing us. Thank you so much for being here and providing us the opportunity to speak. I appreciate it. I don't know if I said my name at the beginning, but okay. Okay, all right, thank you so much.
Appreciate it, thank you very much. Who would like to be next? Oh, don't be shy, come on.
Hi, my name's Morgan Knopke. I live 2438 Saddle Drive. I don't have statistics pulled. I'm just coming as a concerned mom. Hi, Dan. We're friends. Good to see you. From my experience, I've been at my resident for 10 years now. The traffic studies are great at West River Drive and Jupiter, but I would like traffic studies also pulled in our direct neighborhood. I've called the township 4 times due to speeding in our neighborhood because people dodge that light at West River Drive and Jupiter to get where they need to go throughout the Rogue River area. And I've had, and Ben, wherever you are, can attest to this, my children almost get hit because of texting drivers, speeding drivers. It is a 25-mile-per-hour roadway where I live. People go 50. And I have a feeling, I'm shaky because it's my kids, right? Like, I am very concerned for my kids' safety because of what this could do to create more traffic in our neighborhood. I moved to where I moved. My family moved to where we moved because we loved the quiet community. We can hear birds. We don't have the chaos back in that nook of our neighborhood. And I just can imagine what this is going to bring when it comes to how loud it's going to become. We walk in our neighborhood, we see trees. Like, I really am concerned for the kids in our neighborhood and just the flow of traffic it's going to create and how dangerous it could become for our children. So I don't have the statistics, but I'm just a concerned mom here tonight because I really would hate for an accident to happen before all of this happens. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just would hate to see a child's life because we're trying to create a massive complex where traffic's already an issue. And then people are cutting through our neighborhood because of it. So that's just where I'm coming from.
Thank you very much. We have a gentleman in the back.
do live across the street from Morgan. So if we think about
Start with your name and
sorry.
address, please.
Ben Crott, and what else?
Address?
2437 Saddle Drive. We live essentially back here. We are a cut through for Ethelvine and people who don't want to wait at the light at Jupiter and West River. 3 years ago, I was standing almost in the road. I couldn't make it all the way across the road as Morgan's youngest was trying to cross or trying to catch a basketball, waving at some 16-year-old kid on his cell phone, texting, going 50 miles an hour. And we have asked repeatedly for help about cut-through traffic in our neighborhood. And so, I mean, if we do a development, you do a development. I don't have the statistics either, but we have asked repeatedly. I put a sign from the police department where it would track everybody's speed in my yard for as long as the police would let us have it. I personally have offered to pay to put a speed bump through, but nobody will allow us to do that. The only thing that's actually worked is a couple of my adult children moved home, and now I got a bunch of cars parked on the street, so that slows them down a little bit. So I think the traffic, whether it's Jupiter and West River or it's through the Bay Hill neighborhood, is my biggest concern. I just don't understand how you're gonna regulate both those things. We've asked for police to do speed traps. It hasn't happened. We tried different things. We can't get anybody to slow down. And now you're gonna add 1 million people who are gonna get stuck here. They're gonna drive through our neighborhood to come back over here so they can just do the left, turn right in directly. I don't understand how it makes sense. Sorry.
Thank you. We appreciate it. Gentleman right here.
Good evening. My name is Matt Levitt. I live at 5716 Saddlehorn Drive. I'd like to address two of the biggest issues with the rezoning request in front of you tonight. The first issue, it was touched on by the planner. This doesn't match the master plan. 2 years ago, we sat in this room and we talked through that master planning process with you. A lot of the people that are here tonight contributed to that conversation. We came here, we had discussions, and we felt we were heard. And the result was that it stayed R1, because that is what makes the most sense for this corner under the zoning code. I understand what a master plan is. It's a guiding document for both municipal government and for the residents. It's a collaborative effort that was meant to provide direction to those involved and assurances to the residents that those directions would be maintained. That was only 2 years ago. The master plan is supposed to be in effect for 20 years. And I understand, and while it is a plan, the requirement to deviate from that plan is a compelling reason to do so. This is not a compelling reason to move away from the master plan. Plainfield Township has to have a specific reason to attempt to put in development like this, and that compelling reason, it just isn't here. The master plan itself says, and this is a quote from the master plan, "The northeast side of West River Drive should remain single-family residential." Now, I understand that there was an asterisk stating that alternative residential housing types and densities may be contemplated at the northeast corner. But in spite of what the planner just said, that was not an exception. That was a note to the rule 2 years ago. It was not intended for you guys to change to R3 and then a PUD within the next 2 years. We agreed at the master planning process that R1 was the best type. That's what was put in the master plan. I also want to be clear. I'm not against development. I understand that this is a decent-sized parcel fronting 2 major roads. Commercial doesn't make sense for the reasons that are in the master plan, but neither do the apartment buildings that are proposed here. That's too much density. You've heard about some of the traffic concerns, and I understand that the traffic and the roads around it are a partial, very small component of a rezoning request. I do this for a living. I work for a major retailer here in town, and I attend these meetings on a monthly basis around the state, around the Midwest. That's not what this is for. A rezoning process is intended to be for a compelling reason. The other thing I want to point out is a little bit more abstract. It's why are we so intent on adding density? A lot of conversation, I was here last week, talked about density and adding sort of that middle, the missing middle housing. But I don't understand what we're trying to do. It's like single-family homes are being vilified. But that's what's going in Plainfield. Boulder Creek, Grandview, Ravines, Hillbrook, those are all single-family homes.
I've hit your time limit. I apologize. Appreciate your comments, though. Thank you. Gentleman right up front here.
Hi, Luke Shepard. I live at 5703 Furlong Court. This proposal, first of all, is not consistent with the 2024 Plainfield Township Master Plan, which identified this area as appropriate for low-density residential housing. Approving a high-density PUD here would go against the long-term vision already established for this community. Second, this development would significantly change the character of our neighborhood. The mature wooded areas currently provide privacy, noise reduction, wildlife habitat, and environmental protection. An 80-foot wooded buffer is not enough to preserve the natural character of the area or protect neighboring homes from increased noise, trespassing concerns, and loss of privacy. We are especially concerned with our property because we directly border this proposed development. Traffic and safety concerns are also a major part of this. The intersection, like we've said, of West River and Jupiter is already congested during peak hours, and adding potentially over 100 additional vehicles to this area will increase traffic, speeding, and that cut-through driving in nearby neighborhoods. Many children and families and pets live in this area, and we are already experienced with speeding in this neighborhood. So the increased density without major traffic infrastructure improvements creates that additional safety risks. And that goes for us and everyone in the community, even the drivers. We are also concerned about the environmental impacts with this development. So these parcels sit right across from the Grand River near flood-prone areas and close to the Wellhead Protection Overlay District that protects our public water supply. Removing trees and increasing that impermeable surfaces could worsen stormwater runoff, flooding, and pollution concerns. The township's own flood mitigation plan warns about the dangers of developing natural land near the river corridor. So additionally, these woods also support wildlife habitat, including deer, which potentially could be pushed out into the road, and also protected bat species, including the Indiana bat and the northern long-eared bat, which both are associated with this mature forest area, river corridor habitats in western Michigan, Finally, this area already has multiple nearby housing developments, including apartments, condos, and senior livings, providing diverse housing opportunities within just a few miles of the site. We do not believe this rezoning is necessary to meeting those housing needs. We respectfully ask that the Planning Commission uphold the 2024 master plan, preserve the character and safety of this neighborhood, and deny this rezoning request. Thank you so much for your time tonight.
Thank you. Again, we appreciate your comments. In the back, in the doorway there?
So, I'm Nicole Wills, and I live at 5635 Bay Hill Northeast. I was also not expecting to speak tonight, but like Morgan, I'm here as a concerned mother. I'll keep it short and sweet. I don't need to repeat what other people have said. But my son back there, he's waving, he rows at Jupiter Boathouse, as do many kids from Northview and Rockford, and it is a stone's throw from that intersection. So I'm not only concerned with the traffic through our neighborhood, but I'm concerned for all the kids that go and row and have to pass through that intersection 3 seasons a year. Another thing is, this is right behind my house, and I just ask you if you would want a condensed development like that with noise and what it brings right behind your own house. Thank you.
Thank you again. We appreciate that. Over here on the end.
Hi, I'm Tobin McNaughton. I live at 7419 Chandler Drive. I don't live directly near here, but this area that you're talking about, but I live pretty close. I drive through there every day myself back and forth to work. I also, a lot of people might know about the PFAS issue here in town. I serve on the Wolverine Community Advisory Group, and I'm not here representing them. I'm here representing myself and my family, but I thought be transparent that I am part of that group and all things water concern me. Where we live, we had a very highly contaminated well of PFAS chemicals that came from the Wolverine Worldwide dump. We're one of the highest houses with the contamination in the area, and my son has the highest level of PFAS in his blood of any child in the United States. So all things water definitely concerned me. And when we're adding another development like this to this area, we have to use the Plainfield Township water. And as you've seen probably on your water bills, that we've, gone to this new monthly plan to pay, and we're, being asked to conserve water more. And this would put just another burden upon the already really close to maxing out water system here. There's been a search for a new well for like 10 years now, since 2015 when the Versluis wells shut down. So we've been looking for a new well in this area for so long, and now we're adding another development that would definitely need to hook up to the township water. A lot of people that were impacted by PFAS, we had to get hooked up in 2020 to close down our well, completely cap it off, and then get hooked up to Plainfield Township water, which I'm grateful for because I can at least know that I'm gonna be able to filter that with my reverse osmosis system and have better water in my home. So I'm grateful that we were able to hook up, but I just feel like this is going to be just an extra burden, and there's maybe some people still in this area that should be hooked up to Plainfield Township water versus having a contaminated well. So that's just some of my thoughts about having this development take place right there on the corner there. Thank you.
Thank you. Thought I saw another hand back over on this side. There she is, right in the back.
My name is Erin Black, and I live at 5790 Bay Hill Drive, Northeast. I have to say, too, as part of the group that you've also heard from here, I think, as a community member who has now lived in this township and was a non-Michigander, I moved here almost 15 years ago. I have actually been excited to see the development that we've had here in the Plainfield Township area. It has been exciting to see all of the different establishments that have been built. It's one of my favorite things to do with my son is to go smell the fresh wood and see all of the development. I think the Grandview development has been outstanding, particularly when you've got the park piece to it, as well as those single-family homes that reside for a different form of community there. I think for me, the biggest part of this is really when you look at this development, you look at this plot here, and the master plan that was created almost 2 years ago, and I did sit in this room and helped establish that as well, or to hear all of the voices of the concerns here is, why are we doing this again? What has changed in 2 years? And I would argue there's been very little change. And if anything, I think more people are realizing the desire that this community brings to the places that we serve. And at the end of the day, I really challenge this community here to say, what is it that we're about? And I think we're all about development. I love that there are community houses here that have been here since the 50s. I also love the fact that there are newer developments here bringing in new families. And any place you go in this township, you see that reflected in the people that exist today. And I think when it's all said and done, it really does have to help us say here, Plainfield Township has been around for a while, but what are we trying to be for the next 50 years? And that's what I argue here. Is I understand everyone's concerns here when it comes to the traffic piece. I also want development. I think it looks horrible for that corner that we have that exists there. The question is, why are we deviating from a plan that we all agreed upon? Thank you.
Thank you. Right here.
Hello, everybody. Hi, Dan.
I got to speak with most of you last week, but I
Okay,
did.
start with name and
Oh,
address,
I'm
please.
so sorry. Angela Mercier. I live at 5703 Furlong Court. You can see my house on the map too. I'm right here, the little basketball court right there. So 80 feet of woods that they're proposing is actually smaller than a basketball court. So I don't think that that's enough wood area to even buffer whatsoever. So if you can try to imagine that, it's not even with the pros plan, you guys. It's like high school basketball court, really small. So that's one of my big concerns because it is my backyard. But last meeting, we talked about simplifying the PUD zoning. So currently, when I was reading through all of this, they really only have 2 of those lots secured currently. So for the third lot is the plan to make an offer that they can't refuse and push another family out, destroy 2 houses that are already established. Why are we tearing down perfectly good homes, especially if we're gonna upgrade the R1 and R2 zoning, where they're allowed to add decks on, add maybe a level to their house. It's things that can be improved. Something lower density makes much more sense in this area than something humongous. If we decrease the zoning regulations for this, what if they can still go ahead and just take those 2 lots, consolidate it, still build a giant metropolis that doesn't make any sense, and build right up next to the third person who might not be willing to sell? Is that something we want to consider? I don't think that's a great option either, that poor person. Let's see. Another thing, so last week, I don't think most of the committee was even aware that this plan was quite happening yet. So I appreciate pushing the vote to June. I think that makes a lot more sense, so you have more time. But on this construction plan, it says they were hoping to start clearing the woods in July. That's not 6 to 9 months of planning. That's 6 weeks of planning. That's not enough time. How can we make a decision when they want to start cutting the woods down in this July? 2026, that's what it says. Traffic study needs to be done again. I appreciate that, because trying to go left out of either of these areas is impossible. Even when it's not super busy, you can get in that turn lane, but so is everybody else. Not a great option. Environmental surveys, that's a huge one. I've seen traffic studies. I don't see anything about the water crisis. They said it takes 6 million gallons to water our lawns during peak season. You have to keep that watered. You can't, no one's gonna buy an apartment complex with brown grass. So you have to water it. We are going to definitely need to use all the Plainfield Township water, which Boulder Creek is already struggling with, which I see as another agenda thing. But they're already circumventing water because they have bad wells. So why are we gonna put more strain on our water system? Huge concern there. I think that is all I had. Yeah, I'm just about out. But thank you very much for your time and consideration.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Gentleman over here? Yes.
Just thank you for your time tonight. I'm Lee Carlsey. I live at 5700 Furlong Court, just the other one on the back. I too am not against development at all. I've looked in the backyard and thought, there's got to be a use for this. I always thought maybe it'd be a Taco Bell and I could order from my back deck or something like that, but that's not going to work either. But I think what's being called for here is just way too dense. For all the reasons that have been said, a couple of things that have crossed my mind is Jupiter is one of 2 ways across the Grand River. And we've probably all sat on Northland Drive in traffic. As Plainfield Township continues to develop, Jupiter is the next way through. And having this stop and, okay, now there's cars turning right into it at rush hour at 5 o'clock, that's just gonna slow everything down. There's no deceleration lane. Maybe you'd be adding it, I don't know. That's all subject to study. But then the other part about the traffic, why is the traffic such a big deal? Well, because we've all tried to turn left off of Belmont Road onto Jupiter. And I've watched, I may have even intentionally taken alternative routes and making that left-hand turn myself. Going through neighborhoods, cutting through different ways. And that's just what's gonna happen here. You're only gonna sit there so long before you decide, I'm just gonna make a right-hand turn, cut up, go around through. Speed, probably go a little too fast. Places where there's buses at that busy time of day as well. Another thing that was brought up is, well, it is compatible with other things. Well, it's the compatibility study or statements that were made. Okay, it's compatible with what's across the 5-lane road that looks totally different than what you're putting up against. And that's, you can make anything say that what you want, but I don't think you're really being compatible with the neighborhood when you're comparing it to something that's very, very different and divided by 5 lanes. All the other things, the PUD for a greater good. Again, I think this is more just a greater good of trying to mesh that greater density to fill niches. But I don't think that's enough to offset the damage that it's going to do to the neighborhood. Packing that many people into a 6-acre parcel, just the additional noise. And yes, you've got some buffer zone, but I walked the buffer zone the other day. There's a whole lot of trees down in there. 80 feet sounds like a lot, but when you actually go back there and look, it's really not. And a lot of the trees that were there are not looking so good anyways. I'd actually encourage the board. I really appreciate even starting out saying, you know what, we're going to probably make a motion to wait for these other traffic studies. I'd actually encourage just to not postpone the decision, and just make a motion against it. Again, the conversations we had a couple years ago about there's already traffic here. This having the ability to do PUDs will give Plainfield Township more control over it. Just veto it, right? You just make the motion against it right now, be done with it. That makes the most sense. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody else? Raise your hand.
Good evening. My name is Amber Troop. I'm at 5789 Bay Hill Drive. And I agree with all of my neighbors here this evening, so I won't repeat everything that they said, but I do want to say I think most of us chose Belmont because it offers something really unique. We have great single-family neighborhoods, like the folks in these rooms, in this room, have been in their homes for many, many years. We've built a community with one another. We're not renters coming in and out. And we have that opportunity here in Belmont while still being able to get like downtown Grand Rapids in 10 minutes. Like if we wanted to live in a high density area or neighborhood, we have plenty of opportunities to do so. So if we change this zoning to a high density opportunity, it really changes the look and feel and everything that makes Belmont really special. And I do just want to make sure I'm on the record as saying this does go against the master plan. And as somebody who also works in government, I know how important it is to have citizens that feel like they can communicate and trust in their elected officials. And when we engaged in the master planning process and felt like as a community that we were heard in that process, that made me really proud to be part of Plainfield Township. And if there's a significant deviation from that master plan, that really changes the trust that I think many of us have in our local government. So thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you. We appreciate that. Anybody else? Gentleman right up front here.
Hi, my name is Todd Buckingham, 5611 Bay Hill Drive Northeast. Much like Morgan and a few others, I was not planning on speaking today, but felt compelled to share my story. My wife and I live at the first home off the entrance of West River Drive here with our two daughters, 11 and 1-year-old. We are very concerned about what this is going to do to traffic, as some of the others have said. Ben mentioned having to step in the street for a speeding vehicle. I can speak from experience that people come into our neighborhood extremely fast, more than 25 miles an hour while they're turning into the neighborhood, while my daughters and I are in the street. Not in the street, in the yard. If a ball did happen to go into the street, we feel that could be a bad thing. The traffic is also going to have a really big negative impact. I know some have mentioned it, but on Jupiter, traffic, especially after work, backs up past Coit. With an extra 56 units and 100 plus cars, it's just not the space for this development. And as some of the others have said, I'm not against development, but I just don't feel this is the space to do that. Another concern is that this is significantly deviating from the master plan, that the current plan states neighborhood design will encourage and preserve character and a sense of community while preventing sprawl. In my opinion, adding a 56-unit development is directly contrary to preserving character, a sense of community, and preventing sprawl in our single-family neighborhood-zoned location. Additionally, one speaker spoke about the water. I did do a little digging, and our township has adjusted the utility system. We go to monthly billing and a graduated tier system to manage the water supply. Adding a 56-unit development will not help us reduce that water usage. The industry standard is 100 to 300 gallons per unit per day, which could see this 56-unit development producing 5,600 to 16,800 gallons of water per day, which does not align with the township's goals of reducing water consumption. We recognize the desire to develop this area and continue to grow our community. However, residents have already expressed concern that this area should not be rezoned and should be kept as R1, and the master plan should be respected. Therefore, I respectfully ask that the request for rezoning be denied. Thank you.
Thank you. Right over here.
Hi, Deb Lang, 7149 Packer Drive. My first question on all of this is I don't feel like I have enough of an understanding on what really is the purpose for this development. Are we looking for affordable housing? What are the houses, the townhomes going to cost? What kind of turnover are we expecting in the apartments? I need to understand that. I am concerned about the density. As someone who 24 years ago was hit with her 2-year-old daughter turning left into daycare on West River Drive, I can tell you I'm very concerned about the traffic because it impacted me and my daughter as the back window fell over, shattered around my 2-year-old daughter. I'm concerned about the impact of the schools. I know Belmont Elementary, had some additional growth. Has that been looked at? And again, I'm also concerned about the water and just the fact that we weren't able to keep our wells to water our lawn, and now we're going into monthly billing. I'd be interested in knowing what that costs the taxpayers. If I look at it, it's about $60,000 a year just in sending out the invoices. So when I look at all of this, it just doesn't seem as well planned as I think we would like to see. Thank you.
Thank you. Gentleman in the front here.
I came here, I wasn't planning on speaking either. I'm Dan Hughes. I'm from 2088 Hollyhock Street. So I'm going to speak on the other side of the road. I wanted to talk because I've been a resident here in Belmont for 20 years living in this development and 20 years in Plainfield prior to that up in Rock Hill. So I love this community. This has been a great development to raise our kids in. I want to talk about some of the things that people have already spoke of, and that's safety, obviously, I think is a big concern. Jamale comes in off West River to our development and exits on Hollyhock. There's people that cut through all the time because of the intersection down here and the traffic that's really tied up at the corner of West River and Jupiter. People trying to go through and avoid the Jupiter corridor, if you will. And that's to go northbound on Pine Island or even cut through Belmont or even coming southbound, they cut through. So I think that increased traffic. I looked at the stats, and the stats in Belmont says that the average home has 2.5 cars per dwelling. So if you look at that at 56 units, that's going to add 140 vehicles, again, to this area. And again, Jupiter corridor is also, seems to be the way that we route traffic when people don't want to go or they're doing work on Cortland or Northland Drive or on Pine Island, they route. And we know the backup that occurs on 131 North at that time of the day as well. So concerned about the safety there. And also the entrance is right across from two senior communities. You've got Pine Oaks there, or Oaks development, and Porter Hills' development there. And you've got the ambulance, Rockford ambulance, right on the corner there. So people trying to come and go in and out of there, it's going to be difficult. And then our schools are using, we talked a little bit about also crew and rowing, but Northview High School and others, that's a route that all of the kids run in their cross-country traffic is around this intersection across Jupiter Bridge. So there's a lot of activity in this area. And then I guess I'd be remiss, everybody's already talked about the master plan and what we were planning to do. This isn't supporting the master plan. It doesn't support us trying to reduce water consumption. It's going to increase it. We did the right things for PFAS by expanding it, but it really taxed our water consumption in Plainfield Township. And then finally, I got to speak for value. Single-family development, I've watched us prosper. We prosper because people want to come here because things we did like the Belmont Path extension, having single-family homes, the trails that people can walk, and really live in a single-family environment. You know, multifamily, I think, will divert that, and I think that'll have a negative impact as well on the single-family homes in this neighborhood. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody else that would like to speak at this time? Gentleman in the back?
David Meyerholtz, 5770 Belmont Avenue. I can't tell you how many times I hear horns with traffic coming off of Belmont Road onto Jupiter because people are going way too fast and can't make the left-hand turn to go south. So if there's traffic studies, probably need to study that intersection too, because that will back up 20 cars minimum on a school day in the morning. Because especially if something happens on 131, it's even farther. Because everybody gets off at 10 Mile, come down Belmont, and try to get across the river, and they can't. And a lot of people take more chances to hurry up and try to make it. I've gone to a couple accidents there, and I've actually talked to the county troopers and given the video footage of the intersection when someone was going so fast, they actually jumped over by the senior living. They actually jumped over that curb 3 lanes over, where people going so fast and turning, and people turning in front of it. So that traffic should be looked at also when they look at this. And I'm totally against the density. There's no way that we can do this as a township with the water resources we have right now. Because I've been here for almost 25 years, and I've seen all the development come in, and all of a sudden now our wells are not producing enough, and how many years have they gone through trying to find new sources? Seems like every couple months, they're trying to get Prina Newhoff to do more wells to find out where we can get more water, and we haven't been able to get it. So that's all. Thanks.
Thank you. Is there another hand over here? Yes, you're right there.
Hi, Don Oaks, 6100 Safety Drive. I moved to Plainfield Township in the early 60s, bought my first home in 78, and my second home in 2000. I've lived here that long. I'm concerned right now primarily about the water. I asked at the planning desk, I got an estimate, there's currently 500 lots that are already zoned and buildable and ready to go. With that much in the pipeline, we can't afford another project like this. It just overtaxed the system. And now we're at summer, brown lawns, decreased property values. That's what we have to deal with now. So I'm against it. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? With that, I will close. Oh, nope, we got, well, I didn't see a hand go. I needed
sorry.
a hand up. Okay, now you can go.
I'm Art Spalding, 3301 Sunset Bluff. I'm not here to speak to the approval or denial of this project, although I believe, based on my 40-plus years of experience in Plainfield Township having served on this planning commission, having served on the township board and multiple committees, and knowing the process that you're going through. I don't expect this project ever to see the light of day as it is now currently being presented. You've heard many reasons for that tonight, and I won't go into them. I have a different comment of a more generic nature that could potentially apply to this project if it were approved, and certainly has application to other projects. I don't have to perhaps remind the Planning Commission that there's been lots of discussion nationally and in this state and in this township regarding affordable housing for lower income persons. And one of the major reasons given for the lack of such public housing is zoning. And my perception is that if the township is going to approve projects that exceed 3 or 4 units to the acre, that there must be a requirement that there be affordable housing for low-income persons included in that project. And I would suggest a ballpark number of 20%. But it's important to the community to function through the zoning process to make sure that we have affordable housing for everybody, not just for the upper class, not just for the middle class, but also for the lower income people. And that's one way of achieving it. So that's an admonition, I guess, for perhaps this project and certainly for future projects. Thank you.
Thank you. Along the back wall.
My name is Allie Iggy. I'm at 2430 Lyndhurst Street. I have to speak because I promised my children I would. I talked to them about this proposed development, and they, at 8 and 10, were already super concerned about the environmental impact. We teach a lot of conservation and kindness in our house, and so the idea of just, you know, so much destruction in such a small space, even I don't remember if it was the 8 or the 10-year-old, but one of them was like, what's the point? Just so one guy can make a whole bunch more money? And I was like, yeah, exactly, babe. That's what it is. And so one small group of people or individuals can make a ton of money destroying what is already here. So yes, I have massive concerns about the water. I have concerns about traffic. I have concerns about the safety and the changing of our neighborhood. Like, a huge reason that we came that I sought out. I'm coming from Portland, Oregon, and I sought out to live in Belmont because I loved the vibe. Like, literally did a test run here, found a spot, and was like, this is worth uprooting my entire life for this neighborhood. So we've been here about 15 years, and we are outside every day, weather allowing. We interact with all our neighbors, we walk the dog, we do the trails, we do everything. And so the idea of having such an increase in the density and population, the types of people that are coming in. And I don't mean to say that people who live in a multifamily, I'm not saying anything about that. I'm just saying when you have that many more people, there's higher risks of sexual predators, of violence, of anything else that's really dense in one space. And as a mom, that's super concerning to me. So yes, traffic, yes, water, but on my heart, it's like ecosystem and safety is a big thing for me. So please reconsider allowing this and setting a precedent for tearing down single-family homes to slam in a bunch of apartments or condos. Thank you.
Thank you. One last chance. With that, I will close the public comment. We will get comments from the commissioners. Marie, we'll start with you.
Well, I don't disagree with a single comment I've heard here tonight. We need progress in order to thrive, but we also need to pay attention to our community and the ability to support all of this. When I first saw the plan and the narrative that came with it, and it's like, this is too big, too much, bad place, bad corner, bad traffic, bad issues all around. And that was the first thought that I had, and I've listened carefully to everyone tonight, and I haven't found a single person that disagrees with me. So.
Jim?
No, just a lot of new information for me tonight. As you know, we got this since the workshop last week when we first heard about the thing moving, first time I heard about moving forward. So I had a lot to chew on, and I think a postponement might be in order.
Jack?
Well, first of all, you can appreciate the attempt to balance things out. We have heard from this area, from the national and the state, the fact that there is a shortage of housing, and we're trying in very difficult ways to make more housing. When I first looked at this, I also said to myself, this is way too intensive. I looked at the traffic study, and they say weekend AM peak hour trips weekday is 24. And I think to myself, it's a 56-unit complex and only 24 cars are going to go out. That's not even one car per unit. That doesn't jive for me. I appreciate all of the comments that were voiced today. My concern, I guess, is we have another development to look at tonight, which is the Belmont Center PUD. And that was a development that's placed before us, not asking for a vote, but just getting our opinion. And I'm very sad that they had to do this and propose this and ask for a vote right from the get-go. I think if they would have come to us first and said, what do you think about our plans for this, we could have a lot more input. Right now, they're asking for a yes or no vote, and I don't like that at all.
Dennis?
The site itself, when bringing it outside of where it is a very efficient placement of all the houses. There's an attempt to have decent buffering as much as you can to the north and the east. And I do like the sight lines as you pull into it, you see an open space, and attempts are made for that. I just don't like the location where it's at. So that's all I got.
Robin?
I want to thank you for all of the comments that you've made. Valid comments, to be certain. I am concerned about the amount of housing that we're able to bring into Plainfield. We're upside down in housing as a state by an enormous amount. And I think that in order for Plainfield to continue to mature and to continue to grow, we need thoughtful developments, not for two working households, but perhaps for older folks as they're slowing down and downsizing and retiring and finding places to live, like at 5 Mile and Beltline, as we heard about the other day. And for transitional folks to come into the community and then move into housing. I just recently went back to a town that I lived in and went to high school in Mount Prospect, Illinois. When I went to high school there, the number of people living in the area on the sign that you see going into the Mount Prospect was about 12,500 people. And today, I went back there a couple of years ago for a reunion, 56,000 people in the exact same amount of space. And as an architect and an engineer, I study these things quite extensively. And I took an extra couple days just to drive around, just to see the increase, see the transition, from single-family residential. Certainly not with the enormous amount of space that we have here in Plainfield and we enjoy. But now more of the transitions, both up and down, and up and down, and then up to city center where you have a 10-story building, and then back down. And that takes time. It takes a lot of understanding of how people live and how people transition from parts of their early parts of their life on through as they get older. And I think that Plainfield has a tremendous number of opportunities to bring more people in, but an astonishingly small amount of open land to do that. So we've got a lot of things that we have to balance and to think about, not next week or next year or 5 years from now, but 50 years from now. What is this place going to look like with 10 times the number of people? And how we shepherd that and listen to the community and the people that are living there against the experiences that we have, I think is greatly important. So I thank you for this process and thanks for coming.
I just have a couple of questions. I don't know if it's Elizabeth or Peter. The exit shown onto West River is only for emergency purposes, is that correct? Everybody that lives in the unit would exit onto Jupiter?
That is correct, yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Can you go down one to C2 grading? There was one, actually, if there was one you showed earlier, it showed the property lines. You showed just a little while ago. That one right there, I'm sorry. So if somebody was to develop that eastern unit on its own, their exit would have to be on West River, is that correct?
Correct. Yep.
Okay, okay. Just asking, just trying to get some clarification to see, but once they combine them, that West River becomes not an option.
Yes, yeah, I mean, the road commission has already looked at this plan and
And said no to West River, is that? Okay.
that's historically been,
Okay.
yeah, the answer for
asking.
there. And the only reason that this emergency access even exists is obviously because the fire department needs additional methods into the unit or into the development. Do you have any comments, Pete?
Yeah, this design is largely in part to avoid any traffic onto West River due to the stacking that's already there. And that's one of the things we want to look at the traffic study is to get a chance to look at traffic movements coming out onto Belmont, right and left. Don't anticipate a lot of cut through, I know, from this particular project because it's isolated the way it is. Hold on. I'm talking about this project, not anything else. Because when Bernie Hall developed the property around it back in the day and Dave Van Dyke, they pushed this stuff out so it's isolated by itself. So there you go. But anyways, the bottom line is we're looking for additional information on the traffic study.
Okay, I appreciate that. I'd just make one comment to a comment I heard about multifamily apartment dwellings affecting your property value. If anybody wants to read an interesting article, ask Peter or Elizabeth to forward the one from Cameron about how that truly does affect your property value, and it does not. So just on a side note, with that, any further comments from commission? Any additional comments? At that point, we'll take a motion, if somebody would like to do that.
Well, since I mentioned it, I move that the planning commission postpone the POD rezone for 5670 Jupiter Avenue, 6107 West River Drive, and 6117 West River Drive to the June 23rd, 2026 meeting date in order to allow staff time to prepare a response to any public comments heard tonight, questions or concerns raised by us, and for additional applicant to expand on the traffic study.
I'll support.
Take second from Marie. All those in favor of that motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same signal. I will say aye. Motion passes to postpone it until the next meeting. I would just make a comment to the public on that. If you do have additional comments or questions, feel free to reach out. Hopefully I'm not overstepping my bounds, but feel free to reach out to Peter or Elizabeth. They'd be happy to answer those or take that into consideration as we look forward on this. All right?
Mr. Chair, I would recommend we give a little break for a minute or two for the room to clear before the next public
Okay.
hearing.
Sounds good. We'll take a break for about 2 minutes. If you want to stick around, you're more than welcome. If you do need to go, now would be the time to do that. We appreciate all of you coming today and giving us your input.
So I'm just wondering, at 56.
And just, if you are exiting, if you could do so as quickly as possible so we can continue on with the meeting.
56 units is too much, or what is acceptable?
The only reason why 56 units is acceptable is because we followed the ordinance and it allowed them that density based off the,
Yeah, I know.
you know.
It's like, I still don't like the approach.
Again, we are going to continue the meeting, so we do have to ask you to exit as quickly as possible. Please and thank you.
Marie, am I doing okay?
Yeah.
A lot of developments I've seen.
I'm paying
that
attention.
We want certain caveats that you have to do as far as like open space and more environmentally friendly things to it, so you're. So yes, it's dense, but I'm not opposed, I mean, it is looking at this thing though. I mean, you pull in and you have really good sight lines, it's efficient, I just don't like it there.
My problem is the traffic and the amount of space between that exit on they had to do it that way, but.
I think we are going to continue on with the meeting. Again, if you need to have a conversation, you need to step outside. Ma'am? Ma'am, if you're going to, we need to have you, thank you. If you want to continue on, you can step outside. We just need to go on with our meeting here. So we do appreciate that. As soon as over. Elizabeth, all right. With that, we will continue on with our agenda. Agenda B, the zoning ordinance text amendment for recreational vehicles. Dennis? The text amendment, the next one. Do you have that one?
Sorry, there's probably not an applicant info because it's a township-led
That makes sense.
agenda item.
Okay. So, who is doing this one? Elizabeth?
Yeah,
Is this
yep,
you?
I
Okay.
can give a brief intro here, and then we have our deputy here, Deputy Nick Mills, who does a lot of our code enforcement. Oh, sure, thanks. And the community has been struggling for a long time with how to regulate the storage of recreational vehicles and utility trailers. It feels like half the community wants very tight restrictions on how these things are stored to protect, the aesthetics of the community. Half, probably people that enjoy recreational vehicles, would like fewer restrictions on how and where they store them. So we drafted some regulations that we think is an attempt to have regulations that are, suited to both groups. We allow a little bit more recreational vehicle storage in the summer when it's peak usage, and then in off seasons we tighten those restrictions up a bit. But yeah, Deputy Mills can.
Just so you know, I think Marie might be able to attest to this, this is the 5th attempt at this in the last 25 years, so.
I'm here to tell you. And then I saw 3, and it's like,
All right, I'm Nick Mills. I'm one of the community policing deputies for the township, and one of my responsibilities is enforcement for all the ordinances. We just wanted to address this because of the amount of effort it takes to address each and single one of these RV complaints. The way that we approach every ordinance issue is we get a complaint, or sometimes it's self-driven. We go when we find a set address, they get a notification in the mail, they get 2 weeks, hopefully we hear back from them. After that, we go out and re-inspect, or they'll call us and tell us that it's done. And we'll go and verify, and if that's not done, then we might bill them if need be, or at the extreme case, we can cite them and take them to court, which the court process in itself on civil matters is months on end. So my partner and I will spend hours for each of these complaints when I think a judge wants to hear us, that we tell them to move an RV. So it's just, we would like during the summer months when everybody's out using their campers, maybe give some slack, because on the first part, the 72-hour window is almost not enforceable, because we might see it on Monday, but if my partner and I go get pulled away Wednesday and Thursday for training, then we have to readdress it on the next week. So it's an enforcement nightmare. And secondly, I don't know where I was going with that train of thought, but 72-hour window, and the seasonal aspect of it. Everyone that uses campers, I mean, they pull it out of storage. I think is it May 1st through October 31st as we're talking, the dates, which I think is pretty reasonable.
Yeah, yep, May through October 31st, yep.
Give them some leeway. I mean, if it's a junk RV or they're using their utility trailer as a dumpster, we can still address that. We use discretion with all of our ordinances. It's just the ability to not bog us down with these, because I would say a quarter, if not a third, of all of our complaints in the summer are RVs and trailers, and we could be doing other things like addressing houses that need to be cleaned up by the court. So that's just my 2 cents on that, and I think in an enforcement aspect, it'd be more productive in the summer to not go after those. Any questions at all, or?
How many of these go to trial?
No, because we try not to, because we know that a judge is gonna be upset with us that we waste their time, because for one, to get on the civil docket, it'll take 2 to 3 months, which they could move it in that time, so we have to issue the citation, book a formal hearing, and then by the time we get to the judge, they say they moved it. So we try not to get to that point, but we still have to recheck it every time. And we have weekender campers that will go and camp. They'll come back and park it on Sunday. Their neighbor will call and complain, then we go out there and check it. It's like, we get it. So that's.
People that are violating it, when you do talk to them or send a letter, how
They
compliant?
do get notification. It's more of an educational thing than anything else. Like, hey, this is the ordinance, please don't do this. And we field a lot of phone calls because people don't enjoy those letters. So a lot of that is, I know that last summer we hired a part-time employee, and I would spend 4 hours a day fielding her phone calls because she wasn't a deputy and she wasn't allowed to take the phone calls. So it's just efficiency thing. Anything else?
Well, I think we're good for now. This is a public hearing. Is there anybody that would like to comment on this particular ordinance? Gentleman in the back, light shirt.
Hi, my name is Dave Longfield. I live at 6786 Cuts Hill Drive. I live on a corner lot, and I also have two trailers, one for my side by side and one for my snowmobiles. I unfortunately got one of them letters last year telling me I was out of compliance, which I understand. Maybe a little bit more clarity on my situation in particular. Because my trailers are nice, they're not junk. I keep them up, I keep up the yard, I keep up the house, I keep up all of this stuff to almost an anal type situation. So to me, my situation is I'm okay, but I don't purposely want to go out and break the Plainfield Township rules. So being on a corner lot, as I understood it, is I basically have two fronts of my house, the front of the garage side and the front of the house side, and which I'm getting double dinged, I guess. So maybe somebody could answer me a little bit of how I'm supposed to proceed. Because I do like having my trailers there because I do work on my own stuff. So I pull the stuff out, the side-by-side or the snowmobiles out, and I get them in my garage and I work on them, maintain them, that sort of thing. So I do like having them there, and I would prefer not to carve up more of my yard to put in an additional pad so I could back my trailers up far enough to where they would be behind the face of the garage. So I guess my statement is also a question and asking for help. That's,
We appreciate your comments, thank you. If you do have more questions about, what is and is not
okay,
allowed, Peter or Elizabeth would be the ones
okay, fair enough.
to do that.
Dave has my email.
Okay. Is there anybody else that would like to, I thought I saw another hand. Yes.
Don Oak, 6100 Safety Drive. Again, been a homeowner since 1978 here in Plainfield Township. I'm kind of concerned that this is going to really mess with the aesthetics of our neighborhoods. I did some quick Googling. Alpine and Algoma Township basically have no ordinances at all. But they're less than half of our density. We're at 972 per square mile. Grand Rapids Township is the next one at 12. They have the same thing that we do. Cannon Township, which is only 406, they have the same one we do, only they've got a little bit more restrictions. And of course, the city of Grand Rapids, Wyoming are restricted right off the map. I see nothing but problems. There's something in here like line of sight. So I walk out of my front door, I want to look down this way to see where my grandson is. I can't see him because of the trailer. It's not just the traffic. With this compounded with our brown lawns this summer, and that was my comment on the decreased property values, not the fact they were apartments. I think that's going to cause a real problem with the aesthetics. I'm a proud homeowner. I water my lawn. I'm one of the quiet majority. I follow the rules. Like I say, we are, as far as the density concerns, we're where we need to be right now. Going backwards puts us back in farmland. I don't know how enforcement would be with an unattractive trailer. That's completely subjective. This is going to push more cars out on the streets, which I understand is there's no ordinance against parking on the streets as well. So now we're going to have cars on the streets, summer, kids darting out between, and it's just a problem waiting to happen. Thanks.
Thank you. Is there anybody else that wanted to comment on this particular subject?
David Marholtz. I know Jack knows how many times people come in and complain.
Hold that address again, just.
5770. Jack has been in a lot of board meetings where people come and complain about this all the time. And I'm more of a property right, as long as you're within the law of the zoning. So having a whole bunch of restrictions is not good. I'm sure the officer don't want to come every 2 weeks because someone has a bug up their hair bonnet, let's put it that way. And yeah, if people with a lot of different hobbies will have different tools for each hobby. Like I have a kayak trailer. That's the only way for me to haul my kayaks, four-wheelers, quads, snowmobiles. We can't use them directly from here to go to places we want, so we have to haul them all the time. If you store them at places, then you gotta worry about people stealing them, breaking in to storage facilities, they have them stolen. And the best place to have them is in your property so you can monitor it. So I'm glad that they've actually loosened up a little bit in this one. I would like to have seen the changes, but usually the main board will get out changes in red, what is being removed and added. That would be helpful for people to look at this more. But yeah, I'm glad it's less restrictive, but I wish we could go even less restrictive than this. Thanks.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Marilyn Chase. I live at 6215 Maximowski, and I don't have a camper or a trailer or anything, but listening to what the officer was talking about, in the summertime, I get people need to pick up their camper from their storage, and they need to park it so they can load it, so then they can go camping, and then they come home and then wait a day and bring it back to the storage. And you're always gonna have neighbors that are like, oh, I'm gonna call the cops again, you know, and there's gotta be some leeway. People buy their home and their property to use it. So it shouldn't be like, you can't put your trailer on here because it goes against ordinance. Or I'm sure the officer has a lot more important things to do than run around checking campers in the summertime. You know, maybe give a leeway like, you know, Tuesday through Thursday, you know? They can't be there, but then, you know, you gotta be mindful of people that own the property. You can't be so rigid with rules, because rules, you know, just piss people off. And with that, I'll pass.
Thank you. Is there anybody else that would like to comment at this time? Seeing nobody else, we will close the public comment section of that. And we'll actually start down with Jack this time. We'll mix it up a
I
little
wanted
bit.
Marie to start first, because I know she's got some important things to say. Yeah, I appreciate some of the things that are said here. There are a couple of things I don't appreciate, so I'm going to speak on both of them. I appreciate the 5 foot from property line. That's good. Minimum 15 feet from front lot line. And I wanted to ask Nick, if you have the ordinance saying 15 feet from front line, do you have to go out there with a measuring tape and measure it to make sure it's 15 feet?
We eyeball it, mostly like everything else, so.
All right, because that would, yeah. I had a reaction to 3 recreational vehicles. I thought to myself, you know, 1 is enough. Why there is 3 for outdoor storage is maybe you'd like to. How'd you come up with that number of 3?
I think Bill's thoughts were just different types of RVs. So, I mean, that would encompass like a travel trailer, like a trailer for tools, just I think accounting for the different types of vehicles that people enjoy during the summer.
And I would have a problem if there was a snowmobile trailer, a RV, and a tool trailer all on the same property and supposedly all obeying the law. To me, that would go along with just too much. I would like to see 1 recreational vehicle seems enough for me. The other thing, it says on item 2 and 3, recreational vehicles may be temporarily parked. By temporarily, you're just meaning from May 1 through October 31. That's how you define temporarily, right?
That's correct, yep.
Okay, so the word temporarily that could be stricken, I guess. Other than that, I see the problem just in the public comments that people are making. If we had a full house and everybody had to make a comment, you'd probably have 20 people saying, oh, we need to allow this, and 20 other people saying, I don't want it. And we've had this problem all along. This is why somebody said this is the 5th time, and we're still trying. So I'd like to hear from the other commissioners on this.
Dennis?
It's my opinion that since we live in an area where we have waterways and there's lakes and there's all kinds of outdoor activities that people want to invest in that type of recreational vehicle, as long as they can balance that with the rules that are put in place, I have no problem with it.
Robin?
I'm coming from the perspective of having been a condo owner for the last 12 years, to my surprise. And I've never had to consider issues like this before. But the thing that I would bring is a request for absolute clarity. So in condo association, bylaws cover even recreational vehicles and how long they can be in your driveway, and it's a very brief amount of time, how long they can be parked there, and so on. So those rules are very clear. Permission has to be requested, which as a board member, I have to approve. And then we get instant complaints from being an hour over or a day or whatever. So have to deal with the things, but not in the volume that you do, fortunately. So clarity, I think, and brevity is required. The only other thing is that it was a total shock to me that I wanted to think about buying an RV. And then the next thing that comes up is that, well, you also have to pay to store that RV as a part of the cost of doing business. So being as a resident in a suburban area, I can't see that you're going to be storing RVs and snowmobile trailers and whatnot. So that's more rural estate or some other area where you can store those things. And I don't think that there's clarity for people to understand that, hey, if you're going to have a snowmobile trailer, it's not going to be at a condo. It's probably not going to be in an 1/8 of an acre lot. It's probably not going to be in a lot of places that you would think as a homeowner that you could do that. I'm not sure that all of that has got the level of clarity for people so that they can make their own decisions instead of, by God, this is my property and I can do whatever I want with it. No, you can't. No, you're living in a community. You're living with other people. And I think that there probably needs to be clarity across several levels, not just in this document. For the various levels of residential lots that we have and whatnot. Just we can look at that and say, well, this is not a good thing for 3 tool trailers like you see on West River Drive. Some of the houses there, you got big trailers and everything, and the guy's probably operating a business out of there, where you should have, grow the business enough in order to have a place to store those things. So I know I'm covering a lot of different things, but it really comes down to clarity of use, right? Clarity of ownership. And I think that people are abusing that massively.
Okay. Jim?
Well, again, living here in the township for about 35 years, I've seen neighbors and neighborhoods turn over 3 or 4 times, along with RVs and camping trailers and other things. I think what bothers us is that there are some peaks in that where the neighbor looks more like a campground than it does a neighborhood. We've got situations where the RV unit or truck is almost bigger than the house and barely sits on the lot. I mean, that's a lifestyle choice by people, I get that, I understand that. But why should the neighborhood pay a price for something that probably should be stored off-site? But how do you, and maybe we'll get to that, how do you deal with scale, minimizing lot impacts, and then unsightliness by some people who might, you know, be your neighbor? I think what the staff has done on this go-around is a little better than what we currently dealing with, but not by much. And if it were up to me, I guess I'd say, let's get rid of all of them.
Marie?
Well, this is jacked it up to 3 per lot, which we don't have right now. I own my property. I've had some horrible neighbors in the past. I don't like calling the police for help with that. I don't like seeing people park their trailers in the front yard and walk away from them for the season. To suggest that a 20-foot length is the biggest that they can put in there and then they can add yet another one does not allow me to enjoy my property. And it's a two-way street. I think it's great that you have the enjoyment of trailers and RVs. I don't think it's something that I'd ever get invested in. And I don't put anything in my front yard like that. And I would take umbrage at somebody just parking it and leaving it and thinking that it's their right to do that. It's not. I think it was Robin who said that we have to get along in the community and you have to be appropriately respectful of each other's property. And I understand exactly what you're talking about with the enforcement and the futility of doing that, and I understand that. That's my world, I get it. But at the same time, people do respond to letters and show-ups and notices of you're gonna be fined and all this other stuff. To put from 1 to 3 was the first thing I saw. To then say that you could put 2 recreational vehicles in your front yard was another part that kind of made my hair fall out. And also, this one of which may exceed 20 feet in length. It's like this is going to end up larger than the lot it's sitting on. So yeah, I have a problem with this. Now, there are some compromises that I see in here that could possibly be addressed, and that would include the dates of May 1 through October 31. I mean, it's snowing by then, and you're sitting in the front yard of Michigan with an RV designed for summer use. Why couldn't it be a different date? And I'm willing to discuss possible compromises on this, but this is very heavy-handed according to what we currently have. So those are my thoughts.
Yeah, well, it's my turn,
Oh, go ahead.
but I don't have any comments, so go ahead.
Yeah, I don't know if it's permitted to put this, to table this and postpone it, but you can see the difference that we're having here. And I think some sort of a compromise is important. I see the problem with Nick out there having to do all this stuff, and but I also see the problem with 3. I have a problem with that too. So I guess my proposal would be to postpone this, but
Well, that is a legitimate motion, is if you would like to table, is table the correct wording for that? Table?
Postpone.
Postpone a vote on this?
I make a motion, we postpone this till the next meeting.
I'll second that.
Board, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same signal. So be it. It is postponed with that. With that, we're going to move on to just a PUD amendment discussion for Belmont Square Townhomes. And Dennis, you should have something on that, I believe.
Project description and action requested of the planning commission to review and discuss a concept plan to amend Belmont Center PUD.
And you would state your name and
Yes.
company, and then give us a little brief description of what your project is.
Sure. Hi. Good evening, Commissioners. I'm Jeff Hill, JH Realty. I'm the developer of this proposed project in Belmont. It's called Belmont Square Townhomes. I'm incredibly excited to bring this missing middle project to you tonight because it adds housing right in Belmont Village, where per the township's master plan, there is some desire to have more residential in the Belmont Village area. This small-scale project will have a price point around $400,000. I think we're opening a rare window of opportunity for people to buy new construction. If you haven't looked recently, new construction ranges from $500,000 and up now. In the Rockford area, this will be lower than that, and it helps fill that need. There is a housing need in the community because households are changing and people are looking for new housing, or family dynamics are changing. So that's what I feel like this fills that need. The elevations and floor plans that I included are examples of designs that I like and I think will fit well in this area. I would say that personally, I've lived in Plainfield Township in the past. I've been in West Michigan for 30 years. I'm a very avid user of the White Pine Trail. I always thought that Belmont would be a really neat place to live. You have the ice cream shop, you've got pizza shop, I go to the YMCA, and I always thought that this corner piece would be kind of a neat place to live. And I always envisioned kind of what the conceptual plan shows. Front porches on it, move the garages to the back, have parking in the back, make it feel more like a neighborhood so that it blends in with the single-family homes that are still along Belmont Drive. I kind of felt like that would be a better use than yet another commercial building or dentist's office, or nothing against dentists, sorry. But that's why I'm putting this proposal forward. It's, like I said, it's pretty small scale. It's only 12 units. Our plan is to put in all of the site work all at once, put in all the water and infrastructure, and then build the townhouses one building at a time. So we'll start with one, build the 3 units, and they will be for sale. I don't foresee being for rent. I've rented before. I totally understand in everybody's life there's a time that renting makes sense. I really feel like having people who have ownership of these units will make for a much more lively neighborhood, create more of a community. They can have book clubs and they can get together as neighbors and do cookouts and stuff, something that you don't typically see in an apartment community. So that's why I do feel like I do want to do these as for sale. If the numbers don't work to do as for sale, I'm probably not going to move forward with this as rentals. And I do want to echo Jack's sentiments about doing an informal meeting with you guys. I really appreciate you looking at this, providing me with feedback, instead of coming forward with, hey, we need an up and down vote on this. I want to see if this is something that you guys think would be a nice addition to the neighborhood. I know there's a lot of traffic concerns. Like I said, as an avid user of the White Pine Trail, I echo the traffic concerns and the safety of coming out on Belmont Drive onto Jupiter. So I do hope that more people will use Belmont Center Drive to come in and out of this development, which is why we have the private drive there. There's a drainage easement that runs down the east side of the property along Belmont that will actually push the units back, or the homes back from the street. And my goal is to leave that as green space, even maybe natural, so that we're not using more water and having like a big lawn out in front. So that's the plan, and I look forward to hearing your feedback on it.
Peter or Elizabeth, any comments?
Sure. A little background. I think in the late 90s, this was contemplated, this area and the area west where the YMCA and Aaron's Way and some of those neighborhoods are there to the west as a mixed-use kind of development. But when Jupiter Avenue went through, it ended up being just residential, and then eventually the YMCA. And this portion became, they wanted commercial, but they were kind of given an office designation, office commercial. Most of that didn't pan out real quickly like they thought, Rockford Construction at the time. And this lot in particular has been vacant since that early 2000s. So that's kind of the background on it. Right now, the PUD itself does not allow for mixed use in it. It just allows for service types of uses in office at this point, so it requires an amendment to the PUD. That's why the applicant's here before you to see if that's acceptable to you before moving forward and get your general comments about the development style of this project. In our conversations, he's modeling a bit like Rick's. In this area, I know it isn't quite the same type of fit for the buildings around it, but yet in our master plan, we contemplate infill to bring more people into the Belmont Village area to support the businesses that are already existing there. And you have to start somewhere, are my thoughts. Elizabeth?
Just, I guess, a note on the housing type. There's definitely a need for this housing type in the community. And right now, with the way brownfield incentives work, we're seeing a lot of rental product. So we're excited about seeing a for sale product here as well.
I will add, there's no plan to go for brownfield on this. I've already talked to my investors and stuff, and there's the TIF payoff for it gets really complicated when it's for sale. Do you guys have that, the front elevations too? I don't know if that's something we can show them.
They were in the packet.
Do you have a copy of it?
They were in the packet, so
Okay.
yeah, she can bring them up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you look at the daycare center next door, it's got a craftsman style. There's some wood, a mix of wood and there's natural materials and vinyl siding. That's kind of the style that I was going for. This isn't the actual architectural plan. This is just one that I like. And he talked about Rick's over by Belding Road and Myers Lake. Those are front loaded. All the garages are in the back. So it makes it very less car oriented. It's more pedestrian focused. People can sit on their front porches, which increases security, increases the aesthetic of the neighborhood. So these fronts, I think, go very well with the daycare center next door, even though they don't have a parking lot out in front. So,
Robin, we'll start with you.
I love it. I think this is a great infill, a great transition to get people in downtown and hopefully encourage growth of this type of development.
Robin, or Dennis, I'm sorry.
Just for clarity, I work with the company he's working with so if I make any comments, is that okay?
Anybody have issues?
Is there a
are you at Naderveld or Copper Rock?
Naderveld.
Okay, sorry.
So I didn't know about this project. And I gained nothing from
Have
it,
you
but-
heard anything about the project before you saw it?
No, because specifically Steve Woody, who did these projects, he kind of does his own thing, and
Okay, are you comfortable making comments on this?
yes,
Okay.
I'm not. I want the guys to know before I see
Nobody
anything.
else has issues with any conflict?
no.
No? Okay, go ahead.
All right, I like it.
Good.
All that. So just to be clear, the front-loaded, or the rear-loaded parking in the back, are you proposing a change to the PUD to have a change so the buildings can be that close to the road? Or is that?
Yeah, because the ones along Belmont Center Drive, I think they're pushing up on I think they're closer to Belmont Center Drive than what is allowed by zoning. So it would require a little bit of amendment of setbacks. That's usually given in projects like this where they fit, as you know, working in an engineering firm. Some places, I wouldn't put this right out on West River Drive. To me, it's just not, nobody wants to sit on their front porch with cars going by at 70 miles an hour. This is a way slower pace area, I think. So it does, moving it that close to Belmont Center, I think the setbacks are more than that. I'm pretty sure on Belmont, on that side, the 30 feet is the setback. There's a drainage easement that runs, this whole PUD was built with a regional drainage system. So it runs down past the daycare center and dumps back behind those professional offices. Oh, actually back here. So we do have to keep that drainage easement there, which means we don't have to create any kind of a retention pond or anything. But I kind of like that because then Belmont Drive is a little bit busier. So to have it set back like that, I felt was good aesthetically. Does that answer your question?
That does answer my question. I think this site will actually, like Peter was saying, whatever businesses we have behind there, it might promote more business. I mean, so I'm in favor of it.
Jack?
I think this site enhances the neighborhood, and I can't help but compare with what we experienced looking at the first one, and I appreciate this.
Yeah, thank you.
Marie?
Once again, the numbers always catch my attention in 12 units, and maybe it was just fate that you were compared with 56 units.
I didn't even know that other project was on the agenda, so. Yeah.
I like the idea. That lot's been empty for a while. I know the original plan was for all office. I was in on that whole thing 100 years ago. And I was always kind of surprised that that final lot was not being utilized, but I like this.
Jim?
Well, we heard a lot about the master plan tonight, and this is a case where the work we did in the master plan is bearing some fruit. And this is kind of infill we envisioned for the Belknap, not region, area, corridor. And I would expect to see more, hopefully, more of this to come.
There's not a lot of lots in Belmont, but I'd love to do like more similar stuff like this. There's a lot that you guys own right across the street that I don't know what that's being used for, but anyway, I digress. I'll stick with this
But
one.
over time, there'll be lots for redevelopment opportunities.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
Let's see the look on Peter's, one at a time, right? One at a time.
I know, I'm sorry, Pete.
My only comment's the same, is I think it's an interesting use of the lot. I think it's definitely worth pursuing, and looking at greater detail of that. But the preliminary, I think, has some definite positives
Okay.
To it.
Good.
Any other comments, commissioners? No? With that?
Yeah, we just wanted feedback to see if we should go the next step. I do have the lot under contract, but I can get out of it, and it goes through October, so I have time to go through the whole process. I look forward to talking to you more about it, so, thank
Look
you.
forward to seeing you again soon.
Okay, great, thanks.
And what do we got last on our agenda is the Park Collective. Dennis?
Okay, project description and action requested of the planning commission to review and discuss a concept plan and change of use to amend the Tommy's Boats PUD.
All right, give us a little detail. State your name and then give us some detail on what you're proposing here.
Yeah, my name is Philip Johnson. I'm with Ibex Development Group. We're the developers of the the collective hospitality concepts. We have one open in Liberty Township, Ohio, one in Westfield, Indiana, one under development in Port Wentworth, Georgia, Union, Kentucky, Melbourne, Florida, and Mesa, Arizona. And I live here, and I'm excited to see what you guys think about the possibilities of the Tommy's building. I drive by it all the time. I know the story of the building. Would love to see something that brings what's happening at the ballpark, over 200 events a year, gives people a place to hang out, have community. So I know you guys have the narrative in front of you, so I don't want to necessarily just restate the facts. I'd love to hear what you guys have to say and if there's any questions, because it is kind of a unique concept. So I figured you might have some questions that I can help clarify.
We'll start with Peter or Elizabeth.
Well, it's probably fairly fresh in your minds, the history of Tommy's and that, but, as they went through bankruptcy, and we'll leave it at that. So the building has been empty for approximately 2 years now, I believe, something like that. So Phil's brought this ideal to us. It's unique, it's different, it seems kind of cool, but this is a PUD. And it's specifically only for boat sales at this point in time, so it requires an amendment. And before he puts too much time into this, because of the uniqueness of the idea and the surrounding area being somewhat light industrial, although this does follow the master plan, we wanted to get your opinion before they proceed on this to see if you think this idea is acceptable in this general area. I did forget to mention one thing. Morrissey private drive, Morrissey is a public drive, and I think the road commission is going to want to finalize that or vacate that.
Okay.
Marie, she looks like she has something to say, so.
Well, I have brothers both in Cincinnati and Indianapolis.
Ah,
That's where two of your
Yeah.
sites are, and they really enjoy this venue.
awesome.
And I think, you know, as you look at empty space and what's on it at the time, I think this would be a nice addition. It's kind of a warehouse vibe to the whole thing. I think you've got some nice parking possibilities. And like you said, you're close to the ballpark. And I'd be interested to see what you have planned for it.
Awesome.
Kim?
I like it.
Jack?
Is there any way you can use the tower?
It's,
You know-
yes, it's in there. They are
Yeah.
going to use the tower.
We've got all kinds of ideas.
Really?
We have to talk, obviously, once we get further, we have to figure out what's even possible with the building department, right? If there's even occupancy allowed in there or not. The idea, we'll definitely take the lift out. We're not gonna put any boats in it. But, yeah, got lots of
But
ideas.
you have enough space for what you want to do in the,
Yeah, absolutely. So our Cincinnati location is 15,000 square feet. Our Westfield Collective is 15,000, but then has an additional, we have indoor sand volleyball courts. Obviously, we won't do sand volleyball here. And the building is 15,000 square feet. So we typically do a mezzanine level with outdoor patios. That wouldn't be in this one. It'd be a single story, but we can do almost the exact same blueprint of what we've been doing. So we propose five restaurants. By the way, they're all independently owned restaurants. We don't own the restaurants. So we have independently owned restaurateurs that own the restaurants. They lease from us. We own the bars. We own the ice cream, so the desserts.
have at it.
Yeah.
Dennis?
Traditionally with a restaurant, you're limited by how much parking you can have.
Correct.
And I don't see a lot of parking for
Yeah.
that.
So the nice thing is, all of those lines were for boats. They're much larger than cars.
Yeah, I just wonder how
Yep.
you're actually going to fit a 20.
Yeah, so we've already had our civil guy look at it, and he thinks he can get us over 100 spots. And I believe that it's one for every 3 seats requirement.
Sounds about right.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Robin?
I'm not, my only question is, I love the idea. I think I've been to a couple locations like this. I think that for new bars and restaurants, you kind of need liquor licenses, don't you?
Yeah, and I'm not an expert on it, but beer and wine, I think, is fairly easy to get or buy, but then the liquor license itself, those are things that are held hostage a considerable sum.
We've already identified one to buy.
Oh,
Yeah, they're for sale in Kent County.
good for you.
Awesome.
All right, thank you. So,
Now I'm even more positive about it.
Well, Jack, I can still remember you sitting here when Tommy's proposed in your opposition to the tower. So I find that amusing, but you did address that in there, so
Yeah,
I
we
thought
got
that was
ideas.
interesting.
Yeah.
You know, you mentioned it's zoned for boat sales. Well, I think no matter what we do, it's going to have to be rezoned. I don't see boat sales as an ongoing entity in that particular building. I'd also make the lighthearted comment of, can we check your financials before you do anything, so you don't go bankrupt 6 months after you open?
We would gladly show you. Yeah, we're well capitalized.
That was a disappointment to us all. They put so much time and effort into the building and then didn't really last all
Yeah,
that long.
it's a
So,
beautiful building.
yeah, so that was a little bit of a disappointment. A unique use, which I love to see, somebody trying something new and taking a property that, other than that, is probably going to be hard to fill. So I think definitely would love to see more.
I have one suggestion.
Yes.
During fall season, shuttle between the ballpark and you guys.
Yeah,
That could
well,
solve a lot of parking problems.
absolutely. And we'd like to do the same with the Acrisure.
Oh, you
I mean,
could.
parking's an issue downtown.
Yeah.
Come hang out at the Collective, we'll bring you to the event, bring you back.
As long as they guarantee to buy a meal or something, yeah. I mean, there's ideas. That's a good idea.
Yeah.
No, any other further comments?
No, I remember where I work is right near the Acrisure Amphitheater.
Yeah.
And it's located out in the middle of nowhere, in my opinion, as far as like, there's no restaurants near there. It's all just, and the first concert, people showed up. So the fact that you have something that people want to go to, if you build it, they're going to come.
Yeah.
So I'm excited for it.
Yes, thank you very much. We
Yeah.
look forward to seeing you hopefully very soon.
Awesome, thank you guys.
With that, we'll go to staff comments.
Well, was it last week? We had a workshop, if I remember right. We went through a lot of stuff. It was really fun, and we're gonna go through a lot more stuff coming up. But I just wanted to give you guys that weren't able to make it. We're making headway in that, and we were looking forward to getting that done this year. Okay.
And just kind of a follow-up on that, the June date that we had picked is no longer going to work because we had an application for the ZBA and those nights conflict. So I will be sending out another email to get your next availability. We're hopeful that we could potentially just do the workshop on our normal PC night, but that'll depend on what applications come in. So I'll keep you posted on that. That's all I have.
Well, don't scare away some of these exciting applications though either. I don't know, Dennis, we'll start with you, because you haven't gone first tonight, so.
Nothing.
Nothing. Robin?
I'm done.
Jim?
After a little dormancy, it's good to be busy again. So thanks for staff for working issues through and continue to work on. Thank you.
Marie?
I have nothing.
Jack? Words of wisdom?
Just want to say I appreciate the public interest in this tonight. I hope that they come back with something pretty equitable.
The zoning changes with the RVs just brought to mind that I think we have somebody repairing cars in their driveway on Rogue River. Just north of West, as you're heading north. So they seem to have different cars up on jacks there quite often, so I will keep an eye on that. But I can't imagine that as a permitted use in their driveway in that neighborhood. With that, do you guys want to stay a while? Do we talk about it? No, we all want to go home? Okay. With that, at 8:25, we will adjourn the meeting.